Hello, everyone, and welcome to All India IPMAT Mock 2020 Analysis by Endeavour. Hope your exam went great and hope you are having a great time studying at home. Speaking of which, I have an awesome offer for you for all of you aspirants who are applying for BBA exam, sitting at home, confused, wondering, having a million doubts in your head. Endeavour has come up with this great live product for you guys, specifically tailored to the BBA exam, wherein you will have over 60 live lectures from Endeavour's expert faculty in all of the subjects. You're going to have over 200 recorded videos to browse through and learn from the comfort of your house whenever you want. You will also have access to lots and lots of mocks, notes, exam analysis, detailed performance analysis, and a lot of Endeavour practice material for you to work on. So go and check out our product on www.endeavourcareers.com/BBA and stay at home, study well, and pass the exam with flying colors. Okay. Now sit tight and we will start the live exam analysis in 3, 2, and 1.
Okay. Hello, everyone. So, for most of you, this section would have been nightmare. But let me help you out so that from the next mock onward, you can maximize your scores and you can improve your strategy. So let us identify how many questions were easy, medium, and how many were difficult. So there were around 9 questions which were easy to moderate. Okay. Then other 7 questions were moderate to difficult level, and there were 4 questions which were difficult. Now the good attempts should have been anything 10 plus. So if you simply identify this 9 questions and maybe 2 or 3 more questions from here, 10 plus attempt was not difficult. Good score would have been anything 36 plus. So which means if you are getting 9 correct, okay, uh, you can easily reach 36, and the cutoff for this section would be 24 marks. Okay, so when we say good score, it means you will be able to score more in the overall marks, which will help you in your final convert as well. Okay, so just clearing cutoff will also not work out. Now let me help you to identify which are these 9 questions which are easy to moderate and these 7 questions which were moderate to difficult. And at the end, if you feel that okay, no, these questions were not very easy or were not moderate level, which means that you need to practice more and you need to up your skills. So let's see the first question. How many integral solution exist for 7x plus 3y is equal to 31, and there's a condition given. So this is a very basic concept of linear equation with infinite solution. So this was a must-do question and it was a very easy question. So this was something that everyone should have attempted. Okay. If I look at the second question, so this was basically applying the concept of geometric progression, some of the first 6 terms and some of the first 3 terms, and you have to simply divide it. And yes, then then there is nothing left in the question. I mean, it is hardly take 2 or 3 steps to solve this question. So this was also a must-do question. If I look at the third question, okay, this question was little lengthy and could have been skipped. Okay, so if someone if it cracks, if someone can crack it in while reading it, okay, to ho jayega. Otherwise, it will take time to solve it. So though it is not a very difficult question, but yes, could have been skipped. If you look at the fourth question, yes, this question was a little challenging. So you need to have an understanding of what are trivial solutions and how can you solve this question by solving determinant. If you look at this question, again, this question was based on matrices and determinant. Uh, with the basic knowledge of the basic rules of the matrices and determinant, there are certain rules. Just go through the solution and you will find out there are some rules. So if you just remember this rules, going ahead, if there are any kind, I mean, if any, there are such kind of questions, okay, I'm sure you will be able to solve it easily. So I would not rate this as easy one. So this would be a moderate level question. Okay. And coming to the next question, where it was based on logs and finding the roots of the equation. Uh, you know, if you are thorough with the log, then it was not very difficult question here. Simply log of x to the base 27. If you substitute this as a variable, a y or something, then it becomes very easy. You simply get a quadratic equation. Okay. So again, this was not an easy one, but again, it was not a difficult one. So we keep this at a moderate level, but yes, should have been attempted. So if you look at the next two questions, question number 7, this was combination of logarithm as well as arithmetic progression. So student, generally that you get student generally get confused here. Okay, but then if you keep your calm and just apply the concept of arithmetic progression where the middle term is the average of the first two terms. I'm sure and then applying the properties of law, the rules of law, this question would have you could have done it. Okay. So I mean, it is not an easy question again. So we would read this as a medium moderate level question. Question number 8. This was not very difficult, but you can skip this question. I would rate this as little bit difficult because it is time consuming. Okay. On the basis of that, we will treat this question as little difficult. Okay. Let's see the other questions. The next question that we have, area of a graph. So again, if you have a good control over coordinate geometry, and this is not very difficult question. So you just need to plot the graphs. Okay, once you plot the graph, the solution becomes very easy. It's very obvious when you draw the graph. But again, okay, so we will treat this as a moderate question, not very easy question. Considering that many of you would not know how to draw a graph or something, but if you know how to draw a graph, this question was a doable one. 10th question, probably it was a remainder theorem. Generally remainder theorem questions are not very difficult, but this question was little challenging. So hence we would treat this question as a difficult one, and we could have leave this question and we could have moved ahead. I mean, 11th question was very easy, should have been definitely attempted. Okay. This was a 1 minute question. Okay, should not have taken more than that. Should not have taken more than 1.5 minutes. Okay. If we look at the next question, next three questions, in the 12th question was very easy question of time, time and work. So, you need little patience. You need to identify the values of A, B, and C, and then with the. I mean, I'm sure there are few students who would have done calculation mistakes here because there are students who are. I mean, they are bound to do calculation mistakes. But otherwise, this question was easy one. Should have definitely been attempted. Okay. If you look at the 13th one, okay, 13th question was based on compound interest and it was an installment question. Okay, so if you're not thorough with installment question, you should have left it and moved to 14th one, which was very easy. I mean, that was simply ratios were given and you need to substitute the values of A, B and A, B, C, D and get your answer. I mean, yes, but you need to convert, you can see this A is to B, B is to C, C is to C. This is a proportion. Okay, and this is continued proportion. So applying the properties of continued proportion, I'm sure you would have solved this question in not more than 2 minutes. Okay, if you look at 15th question, though it is given 100 years, okay, but it was a simple interest question, and if you simply try, for few, I mean, if you try for first, second, third, fourth year, you would realize that oh, this forms an arithmetic progression. Okay, so and just you have to equate that with 10100 and you get your answer. So not a difficult question, should have been definitely attempted. Okay. The 16th one again was based on compound interest and it's simple interest. This was little bit tricky. Not I would not say very tricky, but because it was it include compound interest, simple interest. Maybe I would rate this as not an easy one, probably a moderate to difficult one. The 17th one was very easy. Yes, it was something different. You should be knowing what is the meaning of odds in favor of something and odd in against something. So this was an easy one. provided you know the meaning of odd against, odd and against, and odd in favor. Okay, so moving on to 18th question. Okay, so this question was again very easy time and work question, should not have taken much time. But again here, this question was easy, but there are students who are bound to make silly error calculation mistakes. So if you would have avoided that mistake, I'm sure you would have easily cracked this question. 19th question was really interesting question. I mean, you know what are the condition for equal roots? You know, you apply the delta equal to 0. Okay. But then this number 44489, this is little bit, you know, tricky. I mean, you need to factorize it and everything. Okay. So this was a doable one, but since it will take time, and you know many students would not be able to factorize it properly, you would rate this as little bit, you know, more, I would not say moderate to difficult, but between something, you know, easy to moderate and between, you know, moderate to difficult. But yes, this question should have been done. Okay, question number 20. So the question is all about basically, you know, finding, you know, it's geometric progression. Though you can see this, there is a percentage decrease, and you know, you may see this is the interest based question, but no, it's a geometric progression, infinite GP, because it clearly says, you know, assume very long lifespan, right? So this was a must do question, and you know, this is how you could have achieved, you know, scoring more than 36 marks. And I'm sure, you know, if you would have avoided doing silly errors, 24 marks in this paper was easily achievable. Okay, so I would recommend you to do the analysis of the session properly, where you made a mistake. Okay, solve all the questions on your own again, and then identify what went wrong in the exam and what are the areas of improvement for you. Okay. So with this, we end with the short answer section. Now let's move on to the next section, that is an MCQ section. Okay. Again, in the MCQ section, let us identify. There were around 15 questions which we would rate this as easy to moderate. Around 12 questions would be we rate this as moderate to difficult, and 13 questions were difficult ones. Okay. So if you are able to identify this difficult one, guys, your job is done. Okay, you simply have to focus on the remaining 27 questions, and this is the art that you'll have to learn. Okay, if you find a question which is difficult or a question which is lengthy, you feel that it's, I know this, but it is lengthy. Okay, skip that question, because you have 40 minutes and you have 40 questions. Anyways, you'll not be able to solve all 40 questions, right? So good attempt in this section would have been anything 20 plus, which means we are saying, you know, close to around 2 minutes per question. Good score would have been 65 plus, and the cutoff for this section would have been 43 marks. Now, 65 marks, okay, so if you have to divide it by 4, it would be what? Okay, getting around 17, 18 correct. 17 correct would give you almost 68 marks, right? So, and if you have to clear 43 marks, is basically if you get 11 correct, you get 44 marks, and one, even if you attempt one wrong, you still get 43. So if you just focus on this 15 questions, okay, 43 marks was not a very difficult task to achieve. Okay. So if even if your strength is not matched, okay, you could have just focused on this 15 question, and let us see which are those 15 questions. Let's see if you have solved this 15 questions. Okay. So let's look at the question. Again, the first question was based on infinite solution, and you know, was not a very difficult question, so should have been attempted. So this we would rate this as the difficult one. Second question was based on linear equation, and you know, on basis of two linear equations, you have to find the third one. Now, one thing is that you do trial and error and identify the third equation, or what you can do is you can solve this by the determinant, the matrices way, and get the answer. Okay. So I would not rate this as a difficult one and not very easy. So it would be between easy to difficult. Okay. Uh, if you look at the third question, okay, the third question was not very difficult, but we would rate this as a medium difficult, because there are some point where students generally stuck up and it's a little bit tricky. Okay, you would able to solve it by applying some of first n terms. Okay, but then there are students who are bound to make some silly errors. Okay, they would not understand, you know, that you have to double the pages and everything, because the numbers are written on two page. I mean, on one page you have two numbers, right? If you look at the fourth question, okay, fourth question was little lengthy, and you know, would have taken much of time, and hence we would have skipped this question. Fifth question is really interesting one, should not have been definitely attempted as of now. But once you read the solution on our, Endeavor website, okay, you would see a shortcut method given to you for, such question. So from next time, whenever you have such questions appearing, you should definitely be able to attempt it. It would not even take 1 minute to attempt such question. Just go through the solution, guys. If you look at sixth question, okay, sixth question was a little bit lengthy and could have been avoided. Okay. If you look at seventh question, yes, seventh question was lengthy and it was tricky at the same time. There were some conditions to be, you should have, met the condition and hence you would have skipped it. Now, eighth question was a real sitter. There would be many students who would have simply skipped this question. But understand, guys, what you have to do is just identify which of the following point lies within the circle. Now, if you look 6 comma 8, the radius is 10. So any point which has a distance of 10 or less than 10, I mean less than 10 would lie within the circle, and which is more than 10 from the center would lie outside the circle. So you have to simply apply the form distance formula, and just by observation you could eliminate, C and D, okay, because they are anyways, we can see they're outside the circle. Okay, now you're left with A and B. Just apply probably in B because it's an integral value. I would avoid applying distance formula for A because it's a decimal value. If you apply for B and you get the answer, you mark it. If you don't get it, you mark A. Okay, so this was a real sitter one and should have been attempted by, I mean, I'm sure almost everyone should have attempted it. Ninth question was interesting one. Okay, students, they would, skip this question. Okay, but if you realize that when you throw four dice, the maximum sum that you get is only 24, and you want is equal to 20, less than equal to 20. You just have to eliminate 21, 22, 23, 24. It will take little bit of time. Okay, and hence we have taken this as a moderate to difficult, but not very difficult. Come on, guys. 10th question was a sitter. Should have been attempted by everyone. Now, this is, I mean, if you have not attempted this question, then, forget clearing 43, forget clearing cutoff. Now, this was a real sitter question. Should have been attempted. Okay. 11th and 12th question. First of all, the questions are lengthy. So I'm not saying that you should skip lengthy question at a stretch. But what you can do is, when there are 40 questions to be attempted in 40 minutes, keep questions which are of 3-4 lines, and maybe if you have time at the end, come to those questions, because we will unnecessarily waste our time in reading this question. Okay, and even if you read this question, you will realize that this question were not supposed to be attempted. Yeah, so we would definitely skip this question, both the question. Okay, 13th question. I would recommend the 13th question, maybe if you skip it would have been fine, because it's squad दिया हुआ है, then center is given, you need to do some calculation. So I'm not saying it is very difficult. I would say it is between moderate and difficult, so it would be between that. Okay. 14 question, guys, it was a sitter. Should have definitely been attempted. It was very easy. You just need to find the area of triangle AOB and BOC, and for both the triangles you know what is base and what is height. So you just simply have to find area of triangle and you have to add it. That's it, nothing else. If you look at 15th question, 15th question was an interesting question and it was a little difficult, should not have been attempted it. Okay, and if you look at 16th question again, should have avoided. I mean, was not very difficult, but I mean, I'm sure some of you would have done it, but if you could have avoided in the first one, that would have been better. 17th question was very easy, was sitter. But I'm sure student would have made an error here, would have marked the answer as, got the answer by combining both the statements. Just by first statement, you can answer because, A is 60, both the numbers would definitely be less than 60 and your answer is done. I'm sure majority of you would have done this mistake. But then, yes, it was sitter. All the three questions of data submission, the 17th, 18th, and 19th were easy and were sitter, should have been done. Okay. If you look at the question number 20, yeah, it based on matrices, but then you simply have to multiply A into A and then you equate it to B. It was not a great deal. You just have to you end up solving some equation. Okay, great. Question number 21. This was little bit time consuming. It was not difficult, but then you have to write, you have to solve, you have to apply the property here, a square minus b square, and then some you apply the identity of sine square plus cos square is equal to 1. You have to solve it step by step. So it was not you could not have done it like this. Okay, and hence we have treated this as maybe between maybe probably a moderate type question. Question number 22nd could have been avoided. If you look at 23rd question, okay, this was a doable one. Students should have done it. Yes, I understand it will take time. Okay, it's little bit time consuming, but then was not a very difficult question. 2 or 3 minutes, I'm sure you would have done this question. Okay, uh, if you look at 24th question, now then this, okay, understand the solution, and this would make you will learn something out of the solution, I'm sure. Okay, uh, 25th and 26th question. So these two questions basically, you have to play with numbers. Okay, so if you play with numbers, and if you make use of these options, uh, I'm sure you could have attempted both the questions, provided you can apply some concept of numbers. Okay, and hence I'm not treating this as a difficult one. We will keep this as a moderate level difficulty. So fine, let's move ahead. Okay, question number 27. Come on, guys. This was a based on calendar and was a doable one, but then not a very easy one. There was some one trick, you know, which if you are able to get it, you would have got the answer correctly. Otherwise, most of you would have marked B option. Huh. Okay. Question number 28 was supposed to be avoided. You should not have attempted question number 28. Should have left it in the given time frame. Question number 29 could have been attempted and was not difficult one. Okay, should have been attempted. I'm sure. I mean, if you are thorough with the concept of remainder theorem, you would have attempted in less than a minute or maybe next 90 seconds. Should not have taken more time. Question number 30 was a sitter. Like it would have taken less than a minute to solve this question. Okay. Uh, let's move on to question 31. So 31st question was again was not difficult, but then it was not very easy because it would take little bit of time. So even if you would have avoided considering the length of the question, that's enough. That's fair enough. Okay. Now 32 to 36. I'm sure everyone has attempted this question, because if you have not attempted this 32 to 36 question, guys, you would have lost 20 marks, and these 5 questions were sitter. So if you have not attempted this 20 marks, I don't know how you would have cleared 43 marks cut off. So this was very easy, and this 5 questions would help you to score to maximize your score and to make it to 65 or more than 65. Okay. Question number 37. 37 is little bit of time consuming if you simply start solving the determinant the way it is given. But look at the solution that is given on the Endeavor portal, and you will realize, oh wow, uh, this was not even a 1 minute question. Okay, so just look at the solution, and next time when this question comes in exam, I'm sure you will be applying that method and you will get the answer correctly. Okay, and that too in less than 1 minute. So question number 38 was little bit of time consuming, but if you simply factorize 3375, I mean, you should be by now knowing what is 3375. Okay. So if you know what is 3375, you can simply say that, this is 15 cube x plus 2y is 3. And applying trial and error x and y ka value, this is 628. This is closer to 625. So the 625 plus 3. Okay. Which means this 9 raised to something should give me 3. So which means y has to be 0.5. Okay. So you need to be good with numbers, playing with numbers. Okay. And hence I said that it is not very easy. It is moderate to difficult. But yes, I'm sure more than 50-60% of the students would have attempted this question. Okay. Okay. Great. Uh, if you look at question number 39. Okay. So this was not again a difficult one, but it was not very easy. Should have taken time for you guys to solve it, because you need to go step by step. But yet, yes, you could have attempted it. And coming to question number 40, this was a real gem of a question. Please look at the solution. I'm sure you would learn something out of it. So with this, I end the analysis of MCQ section as well, and I'm sure uh, it made sense to you to attempt the question, scan the paper, and attempt only those questions which were easy or easy to moderate, because most of you would have not even reached to the question number 40. So if you have not reached to the last question, which means you have done a very big mistake of just attempting the question as and when it was coming. So that is one mistake that you should not do. After this, we will be continuing with the verbal analysis. So thank you very much. I invite Mruga ma'am to take it further. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we will continue with the analysis of verbal aptitude. So I will take you through the questions and we will try to figure out what we should have attempted and how much time we should have dedicated to each set of questions. Giving you a general overview, we can say that 50% of this paper, which is about 20 questions, were easy to moderate, and the rest of the 20 questions were moderate to difficult, with very, very few questions being on either of the extremes, which is either very easy or very difficult. So ideally you should have started with one of the RCs. It wouldn't have made sense to attempt both RCs, because then you would have missed out on some easier questions. So ideally you should have attempted at least few questions of each RC, each type. Now starting with the first RC, as you can see, the length of the RC is pretty long. So it would have taken a lot of time for you to read this RC, but on the other hand, it gives you 8 questions. So this was an RC which was doable if you think that your strength is reading quickly and understanding the essence of the passage. If you had done that, this wouldn't have been a very long, very time consuming passage. So in about 12 minutes you could have gotten 5 to 6 questions correct here. See, for example, if you look at the first question, you see that most of these, even though the answers are framed in a little tricky manner, that these were more or less direct, right? So even if you go to, let's say question 2, which was slightly difficult because the language is difficult. If you understand the language, if your vocabulary is good, the first 2 questions would have been doable. Otherwise these could have been a little difficult. On the other hand, questions 3 and question 6, these were very easy. Okay, these would have taken you about 30 to 40 seconds if you'd solved the passage well, if you'd read the passage very well. I would say that again, in about 12 minutes, getting 5 to 6 correct was more than possible in this passage. On the other hand, if your reading speed is slow, you could have gone to the second passage, which is from questions 9 to 13, which is not going to take you more than 7-8 minutes to read. Maximum, I would say maximum 7 minutes to read. And you could have solved at least 4 questions correctly without any trouble, because out of all the questions, out of the 5 questions, there were 3 questions which were moderate to difficult, but there were 2 questions which were very easy. So in either one of the 2 passages, either you give 10 odd minutes to the second passage and get 4 to 5 correct, or you give 12 odd minutes to the first passage and get about 6 correct. It's more or less the same, depending on what your comfort level is. Coming to the next set of questions, which is grammar. Now, this question was a little difficult. Now, this is how grammar is asked in IPMAT. That's how it's been for the past 2 years, which is in the form of sentence correction. The trick to solving these questions accurately and quickly is to get the error here, to identify the error here, right? For example, I will take you through one question to give you a hint. So if I look at this, I know that I'm supposed to identify an error here, right? So since I have seen him, the word since is not supposed to be followed by the present perfect tense. It can only be followed by the simple past tense when you're referring to any past event. So if I know the error here, I know that option 1, option 4 get eliminated, option 2 gets eliminated right away, right? So this question can be solved in under a minute if you identify the error here. But if you're going to try and keep every option in the sentence and read and figure out what sounds correct, it takes up a lot of time. So the best way is to identify the error and then identify the correct option, right? So this was a little tricky. This was very easy. Questions 15, 16 were easy. 17 again was easy to moderate, because if you've studied conditionals, This is a sitter. This would be something that you can solve in 30-45 seconds. Okay. So the solutions are very comprehensive. If you've not had lectures yet of grammar, if you've not had all lectures of grammar yet, you can just go through the solutions. Question 18 was a little tricky, not because of the question, but because the options were very confusing. So I would say that again, questions 14 to 17, you can solve these in about 5 minutes and you can get at least three correct. Okay. So far we can say that in about 15 minutes we can manage to get 8 to 9 correct. Moving to the next set of questions. This is phrasal verbs which are asked in the fill in the blanks format. Now phrasal verbs are, largely dependent on how good your vocabulary is, but even with very average vocabulary you could have done at least, question 21. You obviously, this is a very common usage. Then you could have easily done this question 23. Again, very very common usage. So out of questions 19 to 23, I can say that at least two correct, and ideally you should have gotten three correct in less than 5 minutes. Okay, so questions 19 to 23, you should have not have dedicated more than 4 to 5 minutes, and you should have gotten at least three correct. This is the next format of vocabulary. Again, a very commonly tested format in IPMAT. This is what we call a cloze test. Now, the trick to getting these questions right is reading the paragraph first. Instead of going blank by blank, always read the whole paragraph first, because what is being tested here is your ability to understand the difference between similar words in terms of, which word should be used in what context. So it is very important to understand the tone and context here. So what we should have done is read the whole paragraph, understood the tone and the context, and then start from the first blank, right? So even here I would say this was fairly easy because the passage was easy, even though in some questions the options were close. So let's say, for example, if you look at question 25, these options may have been a little confusing because more than one option could fit in the sentence. However, for other questions, let's say question 26 was very easy because options can be easily eliminated. 27 can be a little tricky because more than one options can fit in the sentence. But if you understand the context, this is a sitter, very easy. Okay. So 24 to 27, again, you should have dedicated not more than 5 minutes and gotten at least three, or ideally four correct. Moving ahead, let's see the next question type. This is what we call one word substitution. Again, another format in which vocabulary is tested. So what you have here is a phrase which is highlighted, a group of words which is highlighted, and you have, so this is ideally the meaning of one of these options, right? Now this was a very difficult question if you don't know the meaning of surmised, because obviously if you just think about replacing this phrase in the sentence, you can replace it with option 1 also, you can replace it with option 3 also, but the precise meaning of surmised is what this phrase is capturing, right? So 28 was tricky. 28 was pretty tricky. 29, again, pure vocabulary. If you know what psychosomatic disorders are, this was easy. 30 was very difficult because all the words, so effaced, annihilated, and abnegated, are all not words which are used commonly. And effaced and annihilated are often used in very similar contexts. But again, if you knew the meaning of the word annihilated, it would be easy. So that's how vocabulary goes, right? The better your vocabulary, the more time you're saving here. So I would say that questions 28 to 31 can be solved in about 3 minutes, not more than 3 minutes, because you either know the meanings or you don't, right? So in about 3 minutes, you can get at least three correct if I'm considering 1 minute per question. Moving to the next question type, which is the most difficult question type of this section, which is the key and parajumbles. Questions 32 and 33 were difficult, but question 34 was quite doable. Now, I will just share a tip with you on how to solve these kind of parajumbles very quickly. Always focus on establishing obvious links first. So rather than getting stuck on identifying the opening or closing sentence, what you can do is look for obvious links. So, for example, if you look at question 34, I can establish obvious links here. So if I look at option 5, it is of course true that Gagarin was first on the list. I try to identify what this list refers to. I establish a link with three possible candidates. तो इस तरह से मुझे option 1 और 5 का link मिल गया, right? So you can keep setting aside obvious links. So you can solve this like you solve your arrangement based questions. So I have 5 places to fill, and I know that 1 and 5 go together. I know that 4 should come first because every other sentence uses pronouns, and so on. This is how you can keep filling up those spaces. So always start by identifying obvious links first. Out of these 3 parajumbles, I would say that question 34 was easily doable. 32 and 33 were a little difficult, but in 5 minutes you could have gotten 2 correct. Okay. Coming to the next set of questions, which is the logical continuation questions. Now we have 2 different formats. One is where you have the last sentence omitted, and one is questions 39 and 40, where you have uh, one sentence omitted from the middle of the paragraph. Right now, in both these cases, you have to follow a similar kind of approach. You read the passage very carefully, you understand the main idea, and then you take your hints from the sentence preceding or following the blank. Okay, so here 35 was very easy if you understand the main idea. 39 was also doable. 40 was a little tricky because all sentences seem connected. But if you read the solutions, you will identify something which makes the answer very, very obvious. So please go through the suggestions. Please go through the solutions because they are very comprehensive and helpful. So I would say that out of the 3 logical continuation questions, also we could have done 2 in about 6 minutes. You could have gotten 2 correct. Okay, more than let's say 5 minutes, you could have gotten 2 correct. Then comes the word usage question type 36, 37, and 38. Word usage is again pure vocabulary. You either know the usage or you don't, and this is more of idiomatic usage. So if you're a very well read student, if you read regularly, this would become very easy for you. Even here, the 36 was difficult because the error was so tiny. To help yourself with something or to help yourself to something, right? The error was that small, so identifying it would have been very difficult. So I would say 36 was difficult. You could have left this question. 37 was easy. 38 was easy. Easy to moderate. So either one of these 2 questions could have been done in about 2 minutes. Okay, 2 to 3 minutes. So I would say 3 minutes to word usage with 1 correct. Overall, this was fairly easy compared to other sections. So I can say that, attempting about 30 questions with 23 to 25 correct was more than possible. Okay, so you should have a well read, well prepared student should have gotten anywhere above a score of 85 in 40 minutes. And overall, I would say that the overall cutoff would thus be 160 plus for the entire mock, including all sections. So I hope that you were able to grasp our analysis. I hope that this was helpful. Please go through the solutions for more details, and you will be able to understand better tricks, easier ways of solving the same questions. All right, I hope this was helpful. Thank you so much.